In Cairo, forced abortion and sterilization were put forth as solutions for population control as a major component of the implementation of sustainability. The UN likes abortion. Okay, this is from Earth First. They're following the Agenda 21 too. And this is what I would call Obama's mantra. We must make this place an insecure, inhospitable place for capitalists and their projects. We must reclaim the roads and plowed lands, halt dam construction, tear down existing dams, free shackled rivers, and return the wilderness millions and tens of millions of acres for presently settled land. That's what that map was about. They don't want you to be out there, out here. So here's one of my summaries. Reduce the population, no private property, people forced to live in big cities, lock up America's resources, big government, one world government, no real freedom, limited resources, extreme government regulations. I don't know if you knew this or not, but back when Clinton was in office, he locked up the world's second largest coal reserve down in Arizona. He declared it under a federal park so it couldn't be excavated and gotten to. He also got a whole bunch of money from the Chi-Coms for his re-election campaign, which he later got in trouble for and had to return. Why would he get a big donation from the China people? Because they have the world's largest coal reserves. And that company didn't want the competition. We've got problems, folks. Sustainable development calls for the changing of the very infrastructure of the nation, away from private ownership and control to nothing short of a central planning of the entire economy. All right. Is there anybody here that's not convinced that and you don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to. I'm asking a rhetorical question for you to think about. If I haven't convinced you that the UN, through ICLEI, through the IMCA, through the local planning guide from the UN, is a direct copy of the strategic community plan that NIDA, Prospering Together Vision 2020 produced, is there any doubt in any of your minds? Well, if there is, this will put an end to it. Next slide. From David Young, an email to many, many people. September 20th, 2011. He was asked the following questions, and I've only got a portion of them here. Who developed Prospering Together? Answer: Prospering Together is a Vision 2020 and NIDA joint effort. Question 2. When was Prospering Together developed? Answer: NIDA and Vision 2020 agreed jointly to sponsor a community planning effort in mid-May 2011. Question 5. Here's the big one. What other states or nations are using this program, or some variation of it? The first answer, in David Young's own words, United Nations. What more proof do we need? David Young knows what he's doing. A non-government organization lobbying a government for their actions. It is illegal for a 501c3 nonprofit organization to lobby a government organization that gives them money and listens to their agenda. It's flat out illegal, and no one's doing anything about it. Not our state's attorney, and not us yet. Some of those topics might be their little pet project. They might want pine trees down a particular road. Okay, pine trees down a particular road to make it more inviting might be the goal. But the means to get to it, using NIDA tax dollars, is not, the means do not justify the ends. There's basically two philosophies in the world: individual rights and community rights. I tend to believe in unalienable rights that were created equal by the Creator. The UN Declaration on Human Rights, property shall not arbitrarily be taken. Man's rights are granted by other men. As such, they can be taken away. Our Constitution says no private property shall be taken for public use without just compensation. Man's rights are inherent to his nature as man, as they are unalienable. That word unalienable is a difficult word. We don't use it very much, hear about it very much. And it has gone through some transition as our language changes. Unalienable rights are not alienable. That can be alienated. That may not be transferred as in unalienable rights. That's 1828 Webster. Imbued in our nature, granted by our Creator, that cannot be eliminated from the human spirit. Inalienable rights cannot be legally or justly alienated or even separated or transferred to another. Their man-made law, as such, may be revoked. Rights exist subject to most recent making of law. So there's a vocabulary lesson there for you. Today's dictionary defines unalienable exactly as it defines inalienable was defined in 1828. In other words, unalienable is no longer defined as it was in the time of Thomas Jefferson. Orwell forecast this morphing of the meaning. I want to ask you a question. Do we, and I'm going to use the terms that we now use today, conservative or liberal, some people like the word progressive, do we Americans want our own country, our own ability to make our own laws, raise our own children, ability to pursue our own happiness? Do we want foreign governments or organizations telling us what we can and cannot do? This has been a presentation on associations, people, documents, and policies. In 1992, the UN started developing their program with Agenda 21. From 1996, not 1984, Agenda 21 published by the United Nations. It's in Stephenson County now. The rest of the slides here are documentation regarding David Young, George Gallup, Shelley Griswold, Prospering Together, all their websites that I got my information from. The United Nations isn't just using NIDA. They put forth the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and they are producing this book and distributing it. These actually came out of Stephenson County. And in their very first page, the kids are reading, second paragraph. It was many years before countries around the world would agree that children have rights. But eventually, the statements became recognized in international law in 1989. They are now known as the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of the Child, UNCRC. Okay? We're the only nation, as I understand it, that have not adopted that treaty. And the reason is it takes away your rights to have a gun in your home. It mandates that your child can have access to any media anytime they want. And it basically says that the child can go to church or not go to church whenever they want. The UN wants to give up your rights on your children. You can easily look that up under the Convention on the Rights of the Child, or you can go to parentalrights.org, which is promoting a constitutional amendment to make parental rights a fundamental right rather than an implied right. The second book here, second paragraph, exactly the same thing. UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. This book has to do with children having the rights to their opinion and then having a court determine between the child and the parent. This isn't coming. It's already here. Judges in California have already ruled on this, and they've referenced international law to take children away from their parents. All right. Do any of you can raise your hand on this one, and I'm not going to embarrass you or anything, but okay, I showed you this Prospering Together, Stephenson County. Okay, any of you concerned about Rockford or Winnebago County? Rockford is listed as an ICLEI city on ICLEI's website. That means that the city council has adopted all of their sustainability goals. In September of 2012, a group called Vital Signs Regional Planning for Sustainable Development has started in the city of Rockford. Does that look the same? The three topics are socially, economically, and environmentally. All of this information was easily obtained over the internet. Trying to get this information out has been difficult because everybody's busy with their lives. And I took it upon myself, my family, to dig into this and figure out where did these people come up with this program where every single topic of those three things, and you go to any one of them, and the second to last issue on each topic is sustainability. We want to be respectful to what we could classify as the opponent in this. They may or may not know what they're supporting. And I need all of your help to spread the word. But before you do that, take some time and research this issue yourself. Those that have the ability to do what's right have the obligation to do what's right. We each have the ability to do what's right in some respects. The tide is turning. There is a website out there that is documenting all the cities that are leaving the ICLEI registration. This information is hitting the state levels. There are numerous states and counties that are making laws to say nothing from Agenda 21 will be adopted in our community. So people are becoming aware of it. But this county, they don't know it yet very much. I come home from work and I'm a bit tired, and the last thing I want to do is listen to more bad news. And when I hear this kind of junk on TV, and I don't watch TV, I just catch snippets of it on the internet, I can't do much about what's going on in Washington. Okay? And so we all sort of take that attitude, I'm assuming. We can't do much about what's going on in Washington. We only get to vote every 4 years or every 2 years. So with the research that I have done, I honestly got sick a few times putting it together because there is something we can do about it now. You now know. I predict the future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them. Thomas Jefferson. To compel a man to subsidize with his taxes the propagation of ideas which he disbelieves and abhors is sinful and tyrannical. Thomas Jefferson. No free man shall ever be debarred from the use of arms. Thomas Jefferson. This is a picture of the United Nations in New York City. This is the front of the building with all their flags. Many people are familiar with this. This next slide after this is the back of the building. Look at the small statue in the bottom left-hand corner. This is an enlargement of that area, and it clearly shows that the United Nations does not want guns. They don't even want guns that only have 6 bullets. This is clearly not an assault rifle. It is not automatic. It has less than 10 bullets. So, you conclude whether the United Nations is for or against the Second Amendment and our Constitution. Do you really think that the UN Or the progressive politicians will stop at registration, 10 bullet limit, or military looking guns. This clearly shows they want to eliminate every gun. Beware. Really, beware. The strongest reason for the people to retain the right to keep and bear arms is, as a last resort, to protect themselves against tyranny in government. Thomas Jefferson. There is more going on here than just people with different opinions. I personally believe there is spiritual warfare. I'm asking you to share this video with 4 people that you know, or 4 families that you know. We need to understand the roots and sources of information of people that are trying to, quote unquote, help our community, but in the process bring in less freedom and control from a foreign entity. Please come to the county board meetings and let them know you're paying attention and watching them. Get with your county board members and ask them about NIDA. Spread the word and find out for yourselves. Vote for people you can trust. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat, Republican, Independent. You need to know the person. You need to know whether they support the Constitution of the United States. Please get involved. Now that you have this information, you can disagree with my view of this information, or you can agree. But either way, you need to decide. We can't really change what's going on in Washington, D.C., but we can change what's going on here in Stephenson County. We have to have an impact of where we are at. We are in Stephenson County, and we vote for those administrators and political positions that are in Stephenson County. The public is watching, and the public is becoming more and more educated about what is going on. It starts from the bottom and works its way up.